Hi everyone. I am going to tell you all about how I revamped some activities from doing a unit on Pompeii. I didn't, do an entire unit, but I did put together some things that could be used if you wanted to use it in a unit, or if I ever wanted to go back and use it, using some of the resources that we learned about this semester. And before I get started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what it was, and then I'll go into detail on what I would change. And what I recall, because this was a few years ago, we just read the mentor text, which was called Pompeii Buried Alive, and it's by Edith Cunthart. And I think it was really engaging. I think the students really liked the book. It was really informative. The kids got to popcorn read it, so everybody had a copy, and we all sat on the rug. And with that, the student expectations and behavior strategies were implemented based on the classroom rules at the time. So what necessarily worked for that group of students, if you, read up my write-up and were like, oh, I need it. I had to know how things were handled. We handled it based on the classroom rules and the students' expectations. So it would be a typical like read aloud sort of situation if you were to ever adopt something like this. And so it was basically the mentor texts that they were reading and handouts. And we would occasionally look at pictures online, but it would just be the teacher sort of pulling them up. Because at the time, the students also didn't have like Chromebooks or laptops to work off of. So again, all of these would have to be depending on if your school has those available for your grade or your students to use, which hopefully at this point in time most schools do. I know that a lot of schools are going in that direction, or at least they have computer labs and things like that that might be useful for something like this. But essentially it was read, do these handouts, read, do these handouts. It was like a day in, day out sort of thing. And what I decided to do when I looked at it in a new light with the SAMR strategies was, what can I substitute? So the S. I thought of the T chart that the students had done where they compared 79 AD to 2017. Now, nowadays it would be more like 2019, but that was what they had done. And I created a Canva, I think that's how it's pronounced, of all of the different, things that they could do, where they could compare the culture, they can compare the arts, the architecture, agriculture, politics, clothing, anything under the sun, you name it, what they could compare. And it was in a more interactive sort of way, using it on the computer rather than a pencil and a paper. My augmentation was a virtual field trip. I went online and I looked up, you just simply like typed in Pompeii virtual field trip, and suddenly I had like a treasure trove of like, there's this entire website from like, it's like Italy that has all of these different, somebody went and they took like surveys and pictures and things like that, and it's like you're standing there almost, and on every page there's a little bit about each image that you're looking at. So you could be looking at arches, and then you'd have a little write-up of, well, about these arches. Or you could be standing in somebody's home, and it's like, here's what we know about this home. And so with that write-up, it's actually really convenient to be able to put in something like a deck toys map. So I would, maybe link the, like, arches, for example. And students could click on that and they can see the 360 view of it. They can see the write-up, and then I can have certain questions answered on that deck toy point. And that would be a really good way to check for understanding and really make sure that the students aren't just going in and looking and like doing a 360 and clicking out and going to the next one, making sure that they are getting the information that they need and that can really help them grow on the topic. That was one way I did the augmentation. Another way I did an augmentation is I created a Padlet, and it's basically just a parking lot Padlet, and a parking lot is where I've seen them where it's just like an anchor chart and you stick a sticky note with a question or a comment, and it's kind of like come back to that later. And I thought it'd be cool to have a Padlet one, so while they're all like working on the computers, they can, click over to that, and if they have any questions, they can type them in. They can respond to each other's in the like comment section of that. So I think there's a lot of potential where the kids can write down thoughts and comments and responses and questions that the students and the teacher can go in and just quickly type a note in response. Modifications, I actually modified a little bit, and it was to incorporate a Symbaloo. And the Symbaloo I came up with includes every link that I could possibly need and that the students could possibly need, which includes the Newsella text set, the parking lot Padlet link, the Canva T-chart link, the virtual field trips and deck toys question map links. There's articles and resources on Pompeii in there, articles and resources on volcanoes because of Mount Vesuvius. There's references, so like dictionary and thesaurus, so students could go in and type in words quickly if they need to, if they run across a word they don't know. And then just search engines, student safe ones as well as Google, that the students can, do more with. So that's just a few of the things that I threw in a Symbaloo, and I'm also going to link that to, or put that in the link on my write-up. And the redefinition, so the R of SAMR, would just be to keep using the mentor text. I mean, all of this technology is amazing and great, but there's something about having a book in your hand, and you still can get so much information. And the book that we used was really helpful to the kids, so I wouldn't want to take that away. So I would just, keep it and then just add all of these other things on to just bring it like more to life. And with that, I think the student learning experience just becomes more engaging. I mean, they're reading this text, but then they're also doing so many more activities and different things that can really benefit them. And I'd say a lot of it can be done independently, but if you wanted to do it in groups, that's perfectly fine. Like the field trip, I think would be a great thing to maybe just have a few kids work on together, but also, maybe just the T-chart is something that they do on their own. Maybe the Padlet is something you actually set like 5 minutes out of a day or a lesson to just everyone go right there, whether you're writing a post or you're commenting on somebody. I think there's so many different ways that you can make this Symbaloo and make these different like features that I've incorporated into a coherent unit that is much more hands-on and engaging. And I think that concludes everything. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and take a look at my stuff. I'm really excited about this, and I'm really excited to see all of your different topics, and thank you for watching.